Alrighty, let's go ahead and give this a try. Really quickly, just going to repost it to the Facebook page and then we will get going. Share to. That's not the way you do this, apparently. Alrighty. So let's get going and see what we can do here. So I am here working on the Bishop game track, and I just got sent these fancy, wonderful new live drums from my buddy Blaze, who was kind enough to track these for me after helping me program a bit. So I am going to go ahead and give this a go. So let's see what this sounds like. My, that certainly does sound like a drum kit. Let's go ahead and get this integrated into my mix session here. So right now it's just going to live the line 1 output, so the main output. I already have a bunch of processing set up and master processing and whatnot. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to integrate it with that. Actually, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to color these tracks because that's how I know what they are. I always use the same colors for everything, so my drums are always purple, and I just kind of go down the line in Pro Tools. So you see my drums are this kind of purple, and then I just go up the color for a sub. So this is like blue, purple, bass is violet, guitars are red, vocals are yellow, synths and whatnot are this kind of greenish thing. Masters and things like that are black. And then my effects are the default green. I just never change that. Make sure I got the chat open in case anyone wants to say hi. All right, cool. So, yeah, let me go ahead and route the kick to my kick sub. Snares, go to my snare sub. And then everything else is just going to go straight to the main drum sub. Yeah, cool. And then I'm going to go ahead and copy over some VMR stuff. Actually, I don't have any. How am I going to do this? Okay, for the sake of editing, I'm going to keep the overheads in mono. Normally, I would combine those into a stereo track, but I already set up the playlists with the 3 different takes that I got. So you can see I have take 9, take 10, and take 11 here. I'm just going to keep them mono for the time being, but I am going to group them. So I'm going to have an overheads group. And I'll go ahead and group the toms as well. Cool. So I have all those. So then, yeah, I'll go ahead and just create some virtual mix rack stuff. I talked about this in the last stream, but basically just do a little console emulation. I use group 1 for my drums, so I'll make sure I always turn group IO off so I can dial each drum in separately and make sure this level makes sense. A little more heat on that. I try to make it kiss the red, but because these are they're modeled after VU meters, they're not super fast with the transients, so it won't always show you exactly what it's actually doing. Okay, so snare. Cool, that looks right. That looks right. Hi-hat. Sounds good. Toms I won't see until later, but I'll just leave it at that, and we'll handle it. Overheads. And we got a mono room mic. Oh boy, what a treat. Okay, cool. Panning. Yeah, let's pan some stuff out. So pretty important to get the overheads out. I pan drummer's perspective for studio stuff because, you got a lot of snare drum. If I was doing a live mix, then I would do it audience perspective, but I always do drummer's perspective in the studio, which actually I just realized I set up these toms like a lot in my live mixes. So let me reverse these. And I think this will be, actually I need to figure out which tom is which. Is floor 1 the lower tom or floor 2? Let's find out. So floor 2 is our lower tom. So that one will be out a little further. This one will be out here, and we can do rack tom 1 there. So I think this kit actually had another rack tom, but we're just gonna treat floor 1 that way and then rack 2 that way. Cool. So let's get back to our beginning and see what that sounds like now. Sounds a bit better. Hi-hat is definitely killing things there, so let's handle that really quick. So there I was just dragging this up kind of until you started hearing it actually eat into the hi-hat itself, because we don't really need anything below that. And then... Yep, that was the annoying resonant frequency that was bugging me. So basically with Pro Q here, if you kind of keep your mouse over the waveform like I just did, it starts showing you where your the peaks hold, tells you where they are, and then lets you drag them down if there is a particular one that you find objectionable. So that one's the one that was bugging me, so that's better now. See where that puts us. Another thing we should check is the snare is almost certainly out of phase. So let's take a look. And there it is. Oh, I see, I have the bottom. So cool. So looks like, yeah, the snare top has started picking up stuff a little earlier. So normally people would flip the snare bottom in this case, but I've actually got in the habit of inverting phase top here, because that's the one you generally want your waveforms to go up first and then down, and that's not what snare top does, because when you hit the drum it's going to go down and then it's going to come back up. But I believe, well, actually, let me look at where all the other waveforms are. So I'm actually going to make these a little bit bigger and take a look at what's happening. So when that snare top hits, so top goes down, snare bottom goes up, but in the hi-hat, rack 2, floor 1 and 2, and the overheads, it looks like the snare goes down first. So I'm going to go with the path of least resistance here, and I'm just going to phase invert snare top. And let's see what that did. Yep, and there's all our low end on the snare back. So that's awesome. So now, already a nice, significantly more powerful snare. Cool. Let's see how other stuff lines up. Like, is the kick in phase with the overheads? So this is another real big thing that you should just check on anytime you're doing anything with drums, is like really work out your phase relationships. So here I can see that the kick is out of phase in both drum mics, so that's fun. Actually, it's going to be out of phase in everything except for the mono room. So we'll deal with that in a second. But I think what I'm going to do is I will flip the phase on the kick. That'll put it out of phase with the snare top, because I just flipped that as well. I might end up having to completely reverse my plan here, but let's see what that did to our kick sound. Hell of a lot more low-end punch on the kick there, so that helped a lot. I'm going to just live with it being in out of phase in the snare mic hopefully it, well, let's see how bad it actually is. So let's put these two together, and so they're both just inverted now. Let's see what happens if I just take one of them out. Yeah, it's definitely better the other way. So we'll live with it, live with whatever that's causing. Then last thing is, I guess, well, let's take a look at the toms and see what they look like in the overheads. So the toms start down, so do the overhead, or at least that tom does. So that's floor 2. Let's take a look at floor 1. And a little hard to tell here. Let's see if it gets hit by itself anywhere, which it might not. Okay, here we go. So this should be able to tell us. Yeah, it looks like it starts down. A little tricky. Doesn't get hit by itself much here, so we'll just roll with that. And the last thing is, it looks like the mono is pretty much keeping pace with the overhead. Yeah, not on everything though. What about that? What's going on there? Oh, it's with the kicks. We drag. Oh, accidentally record enabled things. All right. Which Shift R, for anyone that's curious, Shift R will record enable a selected track. And you can do the same thing. Shift S solos. Shift M will mute. So there is your little Pro Tools key cut insight. So this looks like it's out of phase, but, well, okay, so it's out of phase, but that's because it's getting it so much later. Let's see how much of a problem. Actually, no, and then I already flipped this, so this should be fine. Okay, I'm just going to leave the room mic as it is. I don't think that's going to be an issue. Cool. So that already did us a world of good. Okay. Great. So, all right, I'm gonna bring that down, and fantastic. Okay, cool. So we're at getting the beginnings of a mix together. Oh, the other thing I'm gonna do here. So with drum EQ, when you're using a multi-mic drum kit and you start EQing stuff, the thing about EQ is that it changes phase relationships. So you might, even though I just lined up all my phases as much as I could with the polarity inversion, once I start EQing stuff, it might get wacky. So I'm actually going to use a linear phase EQ for this to keep from rotating phase as much as possible. And we can let's see how much we can hear the difference. There might be a little something there. I'm not hearing that much there, so I'm just going to leave it at natural phase for now. Cool. So that's a start. Another thing I'm just going to go ahead and do, because I know I will need to, is I am going to edit the toms. And generally with toms, I take out everything that's not the actual tom hits. So as you can hear, whoops, there's a ton of tom bleed. Whole bunch of ring there that we don't, I think, in this case, really need or want. Oh, and for reference, so here's the program drums. So this is what I'm ultimately kind of shooting for here. So that's obviously quite a bit different. But I think we can get there or something close to it. And part of that is going to be removing the toms when they're not getting hit. So the way I generally just do this is I tab to transient. Oops. to find where the start is. With Pro Tools, A and S are handy little shortcuts. Hitting A will delete everything before the cursor, which is what I just did there, and S will delete everything after it. And then I just do fades that make sense for that given tom hit. Yep, don't need anything after that. So now I'm going to go ahead and find the next tom hit on this track, which appears to be there. Tab to transient, hit A. It's gone. Pull this out a little bit so I can fade. And then I think there's another one there. Yeah, but I'll go ahead. I usually, and a lot of times I will tab to transient to the next hit that comes from like another drum and just cut it there. And then once I start mixing this in the contacts, you can kind of hear whether it's going to be a problem or not, and then I can pull these out if I need. So I'll just go down the line here. There's 2 hits there, so I'm going to be lazy for now and let them both stay. And we'll reevaluate that if needed. When stuff's really close like this, sometimes it's not worth it to just grab little hits like that. But I'm here, so I might as well. So this is a pretty tom-heavy couple choruses here. So this is probably my least favorite part of doing studio engineering. It's really important, and it makes stuff sound real good, but man, it gets a little tedious. Especially when there's like more than, when toms are used for like a part like they are here and not just fills. This ends up being a lot of work sometimes, and that sucks. And you get to share that with me. That's special. All right, nice big section where nothing's happening. What's going on here? Okay, yeah, so I want to skip that and then just grab the actual hits. Oh, I just realized, and I'm going to go ahead and blame the wine for this. Another thing that I should have done right at the beginning is create another playlist for all of these to copy these two. So I am going to duplicate this, and this is going to be my main playlist. So I'm going to rename all these. Wait, where'd they go? Oh, right. I forgot I moved the subs. So this is where I'm actually going to do all my edits, because I think I'm going to have to cut 2 takes together here. And I want a nice clean place to do that in. So this way I can always get back to the original take of whatever. And so I'm going to go ahead and stretch this back just in case I need it. And now I can go back to my edit playlist, and this is where all the magic happens and will continue to happen. Looks like I'm just about done with this one because the stuff here is pretty continuous. So I'm going to leave that just because this is a chorus that is based on a heavy tom groove. So you can hear it here. Oh, hey, Brad. Yes, behold, the great and mighty Pro Tools. It is, in many ways, a giant pain in the ass, but there's still nothing that I would rather edit multiple drum kits and multi-take things in. So this is still my main axe for editing and mixing. I've been trying to switch to Reaper, and they're just like a few things that I'm still missing and a few things that I just haven't been jiving with yet. So I still keep coming back. I was going to try to do this in Reaper, and then I tried to import the tracks, and I realized that there was no way it was going to work. Yeah, so since that entire thing is happening, I'm going to leave those as is, but I will cut the end off of this. Yeah, okay, so So the toms kind of stop. Is he even hitting the toms here? Hold on. Okay. Kind of stops there. And actually, I don't want to take off that group. I'm going to take off my full drum group, so now I just have the tom group, and I can get rid of all these at once. Bye, suckers. All right. And so this is where we're cutting out. So I'm actually going to re-enable that group by hitting D. And let's find our other take. So I believe he said take 10. Okay, cool. So for simplicity, I am just going to grab it like this, put it up to my playlist, paste. And let's see how smooth this is with just a little bit of fade. Oh, I should probably listen to the whole thing. All right, that seems like a pretty smooth transition. Yeah, there's just like a couple things with like importing into Reaper that so one of the things, for example, that I had to deal with the live stuff that I've been mixing is I had to mix two different shows, so like the takes didn't come together. So I had one set of tracks from Brazil and another set of tracks from Thailand, and trying to import the stuff, from Thailand and then slide all of it together while it's grouped and like getting it to match up to click is like it's something that I know instantly how to do in Pro Tools, and I just kind of can't do that. There probably is a way to do that in Reaper, but it just, when I was reading up on how to do it, it didn't seem like it was super easy. And yeah, Pro Tools has that as well. So instead of X, I just hit B and it'll cut wherever I am. So that's pretty awesome. I think in Ableton, it's Command E will do the same thing. Okay, cool. So at least we have a full take now. Let me go ahead and try to get the rest of these toms real quick. So this one looks like it doesn't start until here. This one doesn't start until here. And I had a professor at Berkeley that he would just start the song playing and see if he could get through doing all of this before the song ended. I don't think I would be able to do that here. Whoops, that's the wrong key. All right. Drum editing the drums. Yeah, basically. I use Gates Live because whoa, what did I just do? Hit E, which changes the view. Yeah, I use Gates Live, but in a studio session, I basically don't trust them, and this gives me the complete control. This is basically, I'm running through it and doing it manually initially, but once I actually start mixing in the context of the rest of the song, a lot of times I'll come back, I'll edit these tails and stuff like that. It just ultimately gives me a better result. Every time I try to use Gates, I just end up having to do stuff like this anyway, so I kind of gave up on it. And even then, I found that I'm actually using gates live less and less. The main place I will still use them is on toms, but I've pretty much stopped gating kick and snare almost entirely. Depending on the drummer and sometimes depending on the music as well. So the kick I will still do sometimes. Snare I try to gate as little as possible because a lot of the drummers that I tend to work with love their ghost notes, and I would not want to rob them of those. And cool. All right, we're almost into the good stuff. Oops, I think I killed a hit there. And then I think there's no more toms for almost the rest of the song. Just that one. Awesome. Cool. So can just kill this, kill this. Sauce. All right, cool. Let's take a listen to what that sounds like now. To compare, here is where we started. Oop. What the hell just happened? Oh, because I'm not grouped. My bad. Hold up. Yeah, okay. Here's where we started. Oh yeah, so much tighter. Got rid of all that ring. You can hear the kick and snare much more clearly now. That's why we do that. Let me mess around with the snare levels a little bit. Yeah, I was just feeling like we could use a little more punch there. Cool. Let's listen to these in the context of the mix and hear what we still have left to do. So I still need to put I had an effect on the intro and the demo, but yeah, so a little ways to go still, but we'll get there. And meanwhile, here it was with the demo kit. So, oop. Cool. Okay, so where do we want to start? I think I will start. Probably start by EQing our overheads here, and I want to cut some of the low end off because I basically just want these to be my cymbals. Oh, I should that's the problem with not doing these as a stereo track. You know what? I'm going to take the time to do that because this is going to just save me a lot of annoyance. So here I'm going to create a new stereo track. It's going to be called Overheads. Oh, fuck. If I do that, it's not going to match my takes. All right, I guess I have to live with it. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to create a stereo aux track for my overheads, which I think is what I accidentally did anyway. Assign it to a bus, rename this overheads, and send this to it. And then output this to my drum sub. Cool, and then we're going to color this that way. Great. So now I'm going to do all my processing on the sub. Oh, and open up the solo there. Cool. So now I'm going to get rid of this. Pro Q3. That's my jam. This one I am going to do linear phase because I know this will mess with the rest of the... God damn it. I'm like clicking everywhere except where I want to. There we go. Okay. All right. There's a little something in the high end I don't like there. You. Nope. I think it actually might be a total like high end, or not high shelf, high cut. Just a really spitty hi-hat. Disabling the auto gain there because it doesn't seem to... it seems to be making it quite a bit louder than I actually want it to be. You know what? I'm not sure I'm making it better there. I'm gonna just leave that alone for a second, and we'll come back to that. So in that case, let's start with some drum sub compression. And I've been having fun with this AR1 recently. So this is a wacky new Kush thing. And, oh, I think I was holding a button. Okay, so I'm going to start with the cleanest possible threshold. Really brings out a hell of a lot of the room. Let's put some dirt on that. That's obviously pretty extreme, so I'm going to dial that back a little bit. But I do like that overall. And I guess let's do some tone shaping on the individual. Oh, that's the snare. I was trying to get the kick. Oh dear. Oops. Where do I want to start with this one? I guess I'll start with EQing this first. really kind of disappearing there. I'm going to bring the overheads down because I think they're ending up a little too loud. And I like the Elysia Compressor as a kick compressor. It's just punchy and there's a lot of control on it. Turn the noise floor off. Ooh, there's kind of an annoying... So I'm going to do this, do a pre and a post EQ thing, but there's like a happening. Yep, that was it. Hold up. What's going on there? Sounds like they're all late. That's natural phase. Let's delay compensations on. Keep doing that through the rest of the song. So I'm gonna tighten my. Yeah, looks like we're just kind of a little loose on the hits here. Let's see how that is in the other takes. Yep, that's much cleaner. So I'm going to use this take for the bass there. Oops. Get rid of those. And alrighty. So that's already much better just with the little bit that I've done there on the kick, the snare, and the bus compression. So let's take a look at the snare. And I am going to just try to handle these two as a unit. Find that. That's one ring. There's another one. see if I can isolate that. Actually, let me just turn that into a notch. Double notch it. All right, I think it probably is not going to be super obvious in the rest of the mix. Let me grab that same Elysia compressor. Nope, that's the alpha. That's my master compressor, not my mix compressor. Compressor. Yeah, I might have to do something about that. Let's see. It's a pretty fat snare sound, though. I like that. That's my Clariphonic parallel equalizer from Kush Audio. Just makes everything nice and bright, sucks a little mud out of stuff. Let's see where we are compared to the reference. Well, shitload of reverb missing for one thing. Plate. And let's go ahead and slam the overheads a little bit. I'm going to use something saturated here. Get a little more sauce on it. Where's the Novotron? Novotron. And we got a mono room mic. Mono room mic. What do you do with a mono room mic? You smash the ever-loving shit out of it. So, Devil Lock, my absolute favorite tool to just utterly destroy something with compression. Yeah, that's the fucking sauce. Yeah, that's getting somewhere now. So we're obviously not nearly as bright yet. gonna unlink the overheads because there's so much freaking hi-hat in the overheads that this is gonna, I think it's gonna help control it a little more. I'm also gonna EQ this room mic now because there's quite a lot of mud coming from it now that it's so compressed and thick. Don't need any of that. Don't need any of that. Yeah, that's good. And let me think about how I'm going to boost the high end. So now we want to get the kick and snare quite a bit brighter, which I could do more with the clairphonic, but the thing about the clairphonic is it doesn't just boost stuff, it also takes away. So let me try it with something else. I'm going to try it with the Electra, which I like as just a broad strokes kind of EQ. Man, I keep laying my hand down and hitting controls. When I hit space, it brings up a launch bar. That's not bad. Let's try it. Let's try this on the kick as well. I also feel like we kind of need a little more low end on the kick. I know I also just talked a whole bunch of shit about not using gates, but I think I might have to toss a gate on this kick. There is just so much coming through that channel that I'm not going to edit every kick hit because that would be bonkers, but let me at least see if I can control this a little bit. So the way I use gates is I turn the range way the fuck down, so we're only losing like 10 dB. We're not trying to like slam this everywhere. I'm going to oversample this. I'm going to do look ahead by, let's do 2 milliseconds. And we probably want to hold this for at least 20 milliseconds. And probably let me make sure that we're not listening to the cymbals or anything here. That seems a lot better. There's not a ton of like super quiet, easy, light kick hits. It's pretty consistent on all this, so this is safer than a lot of other cases. Cheers, man! Thank you so much for dropping in. Alrighty. Looks like I had quite a bit less low end, actually. just louder. So you can kind of hear the phase relationship change a lot when I brought that when I brought the mono mic in. So let me try flipping the polarity there. Yeah, I feel like that makes the snare quite a bit fatter. I think that was probably robbing it of a little bit of energy there. Oh, tried not. Yeah, kick comes back a bit as well. How crazy can we get here? That's more in the ballpark. This kick is even more mid-scooped though, so. Kind of wish we had a little more slap on that kick. I think probably there's no two ways about it. I'm gonna have to add a sample here. That's not too bad though. Like, I'm not hating that on its own. Okay, so we got some timing issues here that we should fix because we're up against a sample, and unfortunately we got to be kind of perfect here. A little flammy flam there. Okay, so I'm going to make a everything but kick group here. And same thing happened here. Just cut that open and move it. Probably want to move the kick there too, though. Ah, come on. Re-enable my full group there. Just slide this whole thing over. Let's see. Guess I could slide the sample too. Trying to resist using Beat Detective on this, but that might be what we get to. Flammy, flammy, flam, flam. So this happened across a tom ring out, and what I'm actually going to do here is ignore the edit for the toms, let the toms just kind of ring out naturally, and fade them. Actually, it looks like that was going longer, so let that go here. And looks like I accidentally killed one of those toms as well. Yep, looks like I ate one there as well. Don't want to do that. Unfortunately, some of the Pro Tools shortcuts are all really close to each other and are kind of a pain in the ass. So there I just hit Y instead of T, and T zooms in and Y sends something to the very beginning of the song, and that's obnoxious. Ugh. You know what? Do I move the whole sample? Guess I can move the whole sample. Let's try it. Yeah, I can live with that. Let's make the sample a little more live. What's happening here? That's fine. I think we can live without that. Kind of choosing at random which ones whether I'm doing the sample or the live drums. Do the same thing here with the toms. Looks like it's just the first two there. Okay, so these are also ahead, but not quite as much. Maybe that's okay. Hold on, let's check. Okay, this one I'm just gonna straight up beat detective because this is metal. Metal as fuck. Right. Command 9. Where did it, what? Was it not Command 9? Used to be Command 9? Hold on. Command 8. No. Alright, clip separation. Analyze. Do not. Please click on. Oh, right. And is that correct? 49 through 53. That's correct. All right. Analyze and. So this is another one where I'm going to do everything except the kick first and then do the kick separately. Let's see how accurate that is. That looks correct. Yeah, these are head. That actually looks alright. So, separate, conform. Let's do 75%. Smooth. Cool. And now we will do the same thing for the kick. And shukadika. See if that messed stuff up. You know what? Let's go ahead and just fucking. YOLO. All right, cool. Yep, that works. Eh? Oh. Oh, that's what I did. Oops. But still, okay, how do I do this? Try to match this up by, there we go, now grabbed it. And, okay, so. And of course the last hit is still off because fuck me. Merp. Looks like that whole thing's kind of ahead. Actually, this entire section's up ahead kind of up until here. So I'm just going to slide that whole bitch over. Nice. Pretty nice when I can just do it in giant chunks like this to line stuff up. And so I'm having to be a little more obnoxious with this than usual just because I am up against some samples that are perfectly on the grid, which maybe that's my fault for making them on the grid. Who knows? Maybe I'll go back after this and see if I don't like the feel, redo this. You know what? That's early too, so I'm just gonna drag over it because this was correct. Why do I still have Beat Detective open? Ah, toms. Let's work on those toms a little bit, because I ain't got nothing going on there yet. Let's make a tom sub. This will go to my derms, and input will be another thing. Rename it to toms. Send all of these tracks, and I'm holding Option Shift to assign all selected. Option is all, Shift is selected. That sends everything I have selected to here. Voila. And then let's go ahead, unselect live drums, blah, blah, blah. Let's listen to just the toms. So here I am going to reach... Here I'm going to reach straight for the clariphonic. Just let brighten this up, make this clean. Already a whole hell of a lot better. So that's our lowest guy, and we're going to want some EQ on there to really bring that out, that boom. that one doesn't need it. That one doesn't seem to have any boom. All right, let's compress that. What do I want to reach for here? I think I'm actually going to use the UBK one because this one squishes things in a way I like because it's got the squish algorithm. So you can hear how much that really pulls out the sustains, level matching it at the end there to make sure I'm not fooling myself into thinking it's better just because it's louder. See where I had that in the demo. Yeah, let's fix this a little bit. So I'm going to do 2 layers of compression here. I'm going to do a little bit less on that one, and then I'm going to add the Novatron as well, and this time I'm going to unlink it. Or actually, you know what? No, maybe I'll do... do I want to do the Novatron individually on these? Maybe that's what I want to do. lot of flamming. Cool. Felt like that was getting a little too dirty, so I know that there's got this compressor's got a bunch of distortion characteristics that really happen once you start pulling this threshold knob down. So all the way low is the cleanest it goes. I might put a little bit back in here, maybe take it down to like 45 instead of 50. Get a little bit of the grit back, but man, okay. Man, this thing just slams pretty hard. I kind of like that. Definitely need a little more low-end roundness on the kick. I don't know if I'm going to get it just out of EQ here. Yeah, that's something. I also feel like the whole thing kind of just has a bunch of mid-rangey stuff happening that I don't like. Yeah, that's starting to sound a little better. I am loving the power on those toms, though. Man, that hits a lot better than the demo did. Say what you will about, DIY recorded live drums, but man. Oh yeah, that low tom, that's got some beef to it. Oh yeah, I just realized I should compress this hi-hat mic too, and I can do that same thing with the I like that this compressor has a tone control on it. You know what? Actually, no, this isn't too bright. I'm really trying just to control the transients on this. It's spitty. Yeah. Probably pull even more mid-range out of this. Where is it? What is that? All right, so I'm not entirely sure what it is I'm not liking here. What I'm trying to figure out here is when I take this out or put it back in, is it adding to the drums or specifically the kick and snare taking away? Because I can't quite tell if there's a phase issue here or not. It feels like it's doing something because I liked it better when I pulled it down, but I'm wondering if that's because of a phase issue or just because I'm not loving the sound right now. Yeah, definitely. It's definitely not that. I think I'm just not digging the sound. Although maybe it's just phasey because I'm EQing it. Let me actually try a linear phase. Lower. Man, I really creamed that snare in the demo. All right. Been going for like an hour and a half now. Feel like I've done some good here. Definitely made some nice progress. I think I'm gonna call it because I got a baby to take care of when she wakes up in 6 hours. Everyone that stopped by, thank you so much. I'm glad I finally got a stream that like worked the entire way through. Hey, yeah. I'll try to pop back up sometime this week with maybe some more VGO editing or maybe a little more work on this. Anyway, cheers.